Hi guys, welcome to this episode of Ignite with the Creators, and we're joined by Nick Eagleton, who's the founder of Saboteur Studio, and the second hat that he wears is of being a D&AD Masterclass trainer. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the show, Nick.
Lovely to meet you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Among the many things that you do, I actually want to ask you first about your sculptor background.
What a great place to start. They always say have a good beginning, right? Have a good beginning for a
Absolutely.
conversation. Yes, it's true. I was once a sculptor. I went to art school after I got out of school because I didn't know what else to do. But I had this curiosity about, well, I don't know quite what I made of the world and what I thought about things, and I was very curious. And art school was amazing for that because you're put in a room with other interesting people and there is no syllabus. It's like, there's the world and there's all of these art forms. Go and look and see what you're interested in and make things that interpret that. So it was the most amazing education because I didn't have any form to it except what we brought as a group of artists.
Just your thoughts too.
So although I didn't ever want to be a sculptor professionally, that would have been challenging and I probably wouldn't have been able to feed myself. It was probably the best education I could have had because I grew very curious about many things and quite self-reliant, and I was never frightened of a blank page. I would always go and search and be interested in things.
Amazing. And do you think that somewhere subliminally played a role in what you ended up doing for a career?
More than subliminally, I
Okay.
think that itch of discovery and curiosity about the world and the desire to make things is everything about what I love to do. And working in design or branding and having an agency are ways to do that, which I love. But that itch was born then.
Amazing. Now, from being from someone who worked with unstructured stuff, like clay, to sculpt something or maybe other materials, to actually bringing form, to bringing something to life, there must be a process. Can you talk us through your process when you're actually thinking for brands and constructing something from a blank page?
I love the combination of the steps, and then the freedoms that the steps buy you. So this afternoon I was doing a workshop called Ideas Unlocked, and the creative process is a thing that's full of myths and people talk lots of nonsense about it. But the steps for that are always the same, whatever you're doing, whether you're building a brand or working on a campaign or starting a business, writing a book. And so that's what I love. So I was talking about a process, which for this I call the 4 Ps. Understand the problem, create lots of possibilities, choose what to push, make a pitch.
That's a
Put it somewhere
masterclass
safe.
right there.
So that process, I love that because you've defined some steps which will get you, and everyone in the workshop got from nothing to pitches in 45 minutes, and they did beautiful pitches.
Okay.
There's a structure that will get you there, within which there's lots of freedoms to think and create and imagine and have fun along the way. Just
Amazing.
free form is madness, chaos.
And from this is, over a period of time, born brand language, let's say.
Yeah.
So what's the journey of that, and how do you bring in your thoughts, and how do you buy in, let's say, the customer or your client towards aligning and then continuing to live with that once you've let the baby go, let's say?
Well, there's a sort of shape to a project, but if you're creating something bigger, like creating a brand or completely reinventing a brand, and the opening part of that journey always starts with lots of understanding. Clients want you to understand them, want you to know their audiences, want you to feel what they feel and know their problems. That's all the sort of homework bit, which anyone who works in the creative industry is always learning loads of new stuff in different industries. I was learning about carbon capture one week and then learning about road safety the next.
Wow.
So that's learning. Then there's a piece in the middle where they want you to go away and make something amazing from that. And that's different. So you go and you have a flight of imagination and you bring things in and you connect unexpected things. So you let your imagination go so that you can interpret your understanding in a way which is wonderful and new. And then there's that last bit, which is you have to make it fit the real world. And then you're back to lots of meetings and lots of considerations of budget and production and all of those things, which I also like because if it's not real, it's not happened.
That's true. And speaking of real, you've actually helped brands sound like real people. So we all use this phrase, let's personify the brand. What are some of the physical attributes or the personification attributes? How much of a role does that play? I mean, is it very important?
It's varied over time. So with brands, there was a time when before the word branding was used, it was identity and then corporate identity, and you could be very serious and structured and lots of grids and lots of templates, and it wasn't full of personality, but it was full of consistency. Now that's not enough. There's so many channels, and the channels are so much more informal, social channels. Companies and the people who run them have personal brands. There's so much more personality in it that what's come in, and as it's become branding and the branding has become more personal, is the role that emotion plays. And you can't tell the story of a brand across all those things without bringing emotion into it, the emotion of the brand, the emotion of the audience. And I think that's really changed. And we're in that time now where it's full of feeling. Lots of things are full of feeling when they're at the best, and people want and need that honesty or surprise or storytelling. It wasn't always like that.
So emotion does play a very large role in this. And what would you say is your style? Is there a signature style, or as a creative person, would you rather not have a signature style?
Good question. As you'd have to ask other people what my signature style is, but if you ask people what I'm like, there are different kinds of creative types, and for people who have any kind of creative leadership role, they have very different styles of doing that. I'm a very positive and enthusiastic person, sometimes too much so, but that level of enthusiasm, I don't ever get daunted by things, and so I'm always positive that we'll find a way. So I think that helps. You know, there's many things. You need high creative standards, you need to be able to sort of understand a team, but I think that enthusiasm is a big driver, and nothing will ever stop me believing in the power of a great idea. If you can combine those things, then anything is possible, and many things get in the way, but I don't let that daunt me.
Amazing. Now, we spoke a bit about creativity, but we also live in a world where quantification is very important. Success is measured by numbers, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on which side you're on. How do you look at that when you're the creative person in the room? Has there been a situation where your work has been measured to be successful or not?
Yes, in the world of branding, as distinct from if you're working on campaigns particularly, it's much harder to measure, and it's one of the big pain points of the whole branding world is it's hard to measure. You have to do long-term studies. What is changing now is that if you're a creative person in the industry, if you're relatively junior, you don't have to worry about it so much because you're there to come up with ideas, and then there's a team who will then help shape which ones are the right ones. The more senior you get, the more you have to consider which ideas are the ones to share and show and the ones which might work, because first and foremost, with a great idea, it solves what it's trying to do. Brilliant comes second, right? Solves the problem comes first. And more, how you measure and how you choose is important. And there's a study that in Britain, the Design Business Association do a study every year called What Clients Want. So if you're working in a creative team, you don't spend that much time thinking about what clients want. Client services do and other people do.
Right.
But what clients say is the proportion of clients who will buy an idea only on instinct and intuition of the team is like less than 20%.
Okay.
80% is like, give me a reason, and data is often that reason. Research is that reason. So it's happening more and more.
And can you share an example where you actually extensively used data to deliver your work?
Well, interestingly, one of our clients is Deloitte, and we're working with them in the US, and they have a very big team in India. And so we were working on a recruitment campaign for India. The team were almost all based in the US. The conversations we were having them remotely were in the US, but they were wanting to attract a large number of people who live and work in India with big ambitions for what they can do with their career, who are not US citizens. And so what that project needed was an understanding of the context of hiring and the recruitment characteristics of recruitment into a professional role, but at the same time, what drives them in their desire for the next step in their career. So that was research. So we did some fast research, which was only possible with some of the new AI tools you could do there, which was essential. All the conversations we had with the leadership team was driven by an understanding of the needs of the audiences through that research. And it would have been very hard to choose properly and wisely without that data of career goals, and that was done as a sort of qual thing, and it was really foundational.
Amazing. You briefly mentioned AI, and I don't think that's a topic we can not touch upon. we're just about 24 hours in from the time Google announced VO. I'm not even sure if I'm getting the name right, which is giving you full-length text to video conversion, very high quality, different camera angles, lighting. How do you see the role of AI evolve in the creative space over the next few months and years?
Well, D&AD have worked on a report about AI in the creative industries, which just came out this week with Shutterstock, and it's really interesting. And they did a big study and spoke to many people in many countries of all kinds of creative industries. And so that's something I'm going to be talking about in one of the masterclasses tomorrow. And it's really interesting findings of the tools are exploding and the possibilities are exploding, and people are finding a multitude of ways, inputs and outputs, inputs, research, finding an understanding of audiences, coming up with alternatives to a tagline, and then outputs, and you're talking about all of these incredible tools. They are just inputs and outputs. The bit in the middle is the bit that humans are still really good at: critical thinking, emotion, wisdom, weirdness, humor. The machines can't think like that. So we have a multitude of inputs that we can use tools for, ChatGPT and others. We have a multitude of outputs. We're in the middle, and what it's doing is it's throwing a light on what's most human about our ability to choose. So you might have a video produced by an incredible tool and another one produced by another incredible tool, but it's you or I who, on an account of an understanding of culture or history or our own wisdom, we can choose and they can't choose.
So you're still saying that the ask is coming from the human, and without that the machine really can't do anything. So we still have to continue to tell the machine what needs to be put out.
Yes, I think so.
But do you think this will, over a period of time, maybe commoditize output, and how does that affect industry and professionals?
Yes, it will commoditize many outputs. So one of the things about the industry is and the report says this, and common sense would tell you that if you're in the creative industry, you want to put the value not on time, you want to put the value on the thinking. Strategic and creative thinking. Choose this over this. They're the crucial things, because the commoditization of outputs, and clients are making their own content. So content creation, that is changing fast.
But the demand for content is not going to go down, and I think more variety is what will be needed.
Yes.
So, do you still see a fair way away? We're a fair way away from AI replacing people in the creative space?
Well, it will replace some types of content and some kinds of roles. If you're creating a campaign which is going to go in many markets, and you need to be able to translate and change background imagery, and no one really wants to do that kind of work, and machines can do that. So some things will definitely be replaced, and there's things to do with translation and versions and formatting. Those things can be quite...
So more tactical stuff, more sort of operational stuff.
Well, what is in it, and what story is told, and who's it for, and a connection through culture to people and feelings. They don't feel anything.
We've had examples of taglines going wrong culturally because of translation, haven't we? I mean, there's a lot of brands that have suffered on that front. So I think we still can't write off the cultural relevance and localization.
Well, in terms of that, those sort of tools, what the report says, and obviously what we believe too, is that the starting point has moved way up. The level of first ideas, the quality of understanding. We don't need huge programs in order to sort of get under the skin of a group of people or a subculture. So the starting point has gone way up, and mistakes aren't tolerated anymore in terms of those things.
Yeah, that's true.
But as with always in the creative industry, it's everything that happens above that shines. That's where the spark is that people see.
Have you had much exposure to Indian work, whether advertising or other creative spaces?
No, and that's one of the things I'm most excited about being here.
Okay.
Because a hunger for knowledge of other cultures and other bodies of work, and just the things I've seen since I've been here, is to understand your own better and to see. So I'm very eager to see more about the work that's being done here. I do think the foundational things, we're all human, that of ideas and storytelling and these tools we have, I think are pretty universal, because they're probably 100,000 years old, but I'm keen to see.
Awesome. So I hope you find some interesting creative work. One final question: what advice would you give young professionals entering this space today? There is a bit of fear today of what is the future in a creative space. What exactly am I doing here? What's your advice to people who are on the fence about this as a career?
Oh, I think it will always be a wonderful career and a wonderful industry. It's full of interesting people, it's full of interesting projects, it's full of interesting work. It's just changing a lot. And so I guess two things is what's happened in the last, I would say, 6 months is on technology, AI being one technology, but it's being the most talked about one, is you need to be absolutely out in front of all the technologies.
Yeah.
You know, you need to know them, use them, it's like not a thing. So that's one thing. And then the other side of it is know and enrich the things that make you human. See things, travel, speak to people,
Yeah.
do the non-digital things, which is how you choose what is good or beautiful or inspiring over another thing. The two go hand in hand, and people who do that, there will always be a call for those people to come and build new stories for new brands.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Nick Eagleton. Really
Thank
appreciate
you
your
so
time.
much.
And I hope you see better weather and good creativity for the
Thanks
rest
so
of your
much.
trip.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.